What's Up and Why, bringing you the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time. Brought to you by the New Thought Media Network. Please put your hands together for your hosts, Rev Casey Taylor and Miss B Lovely.
Clap for us, clap for us. Hey. Hey, Be Lovely. I am Reverend Casey Taylor. We are here for What's Up and Why. We meet every Thursday at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. What is that? 11 a.m. Pacific, where our producer Clarissa is dialing in from, StreamYarding us in from. How you be today, Miss Be Lovely?
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like a rag doll that's been dragged through the mud, spun around helicopter style, thrown at a wall by a toddler, picked back up, arms spread apart, and thrown and let go and left on the floor
That
for
is
the
both
rest of the day.
real. That is both real serious and real specific. What is going on? We didn't even have time to connect in advance. So what is going on?
The
Fill
Winter
me in.
Olympics is what's
Catch me
going
up. Catch
on.
me up.
The Winter Olympics is happening right now between the two host cities of Milan Cortina in northern Italy, and Team USA is actually doing really good. So for my job, like I cover the Winter Olympics, like covering like the cultural pieces, the athletes and everything. And a lot of history has been made. So that's been cool and everything, but it's a lot of work. It's very demanding. It's a lot of mental gymnastics because like I'm doing three roles at once. Like I'm producing hits, I'm writing the hits, I'm editing the hits and all that stuff. And as fun as it is, I'm not gonna lie, it has been draining and beating on my brain. But want to give a shout out to Breezy Johnson, who at the end of her competition today, her boyfriend met her at the finish line on a bended knee and proposed to her because he said these Winter Olympic Games just felt so inspiring, and he felt like this is the moment where he realized they're meant to be together forever. So shout out to her. Shout out to Layla Edwards, who is not only the first Black woman to play for Team USA women's hockey, she's also the first woman to score a goal for Team USA women's hockey during the Olympics. So breaking a lot of records. Ilya Malinen's killing it. Josh Stoltz is killing it on the ice. It's a lot of good, exciting things, but I'm not gonna lie, it's very, very grueling and demanding, and your girl needs a break.
I truly and genuinely appreciate your honesty, your authenticity as we bring our attention, focus on the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time. That you are
Mhm.
both being expressing yourself authentically, like this. That description of the ragdoll on the floor, all that, like it is what it is. But you're like, and shout out to Breezy Johnson at the same time. Like this is what we're doing. This is how it works. I
Spotlighting the bright side of life in the midst of the hardships of life, because you got to take the good with the bad with life.
Indeed, the best day ever energy that we all know that I rock with is this recognition that sometimes the best day ever doesn't feel like the best day ever. That what you're celebrating is how you showed up, the lessons learned, the wisdom gained. What I was thinking about as you were sharing this story about how you feel, especially doing three jobs at once, is that the level of I would say like a productivity, the way that you're flying through things. Once this is over, you're going to feel like a champion. Everything else is going to feel really, really slow. And so this is really like stepping up your ability, stepping up your game to be able to roll through things real quickly, to produce with the mostest and the fastest. And so
Hey.
that's what it is. You building these producer muscles, they just getting stronger. And it's painful. Getting stronger is always painful, but who we become as a result of it is always worth it, right?
Yeah, and now like I really understand the meaning of growing pains, because yes, it's painful, but it's necessary and needed. And like, make no mistakes, I absolutely love what I'm doing. Like, it is such an honor to be in charge of like this historic and legendary competition that draws in a lot of people, because like at the heart of the games is about the fact that we all have a shared humanity. So it's like seeing the positive stuff with the games and stuff. It's been fun. And like you said, I'm learning and growing and just looking back on how I started as a production assistant to now being the lead producer in charge of the Winter Olympics in Washington D.C., our nation's capital. It's been fun. So yes, I'm cheering for Layla Edwards. I'm cheering for all the Team USA athletes, but special shout out to Layla Edwards because she is the first Black woman on Team USA women's hockey. So we're breaking barriers during Black History Month.
Breaking barriers through Black History Month. That's what I'm talking about. Speaking of Black History Month, I am, first of all, let me first remind you, Be Lovely, that our theme today is me. It's all about me. This is our last week of honoring each track on Mariah's Here for It All. Me is the last one. And this not this Saturday, next Saturday, but I'm just giving y'all a sneak peek of what to expect. Next Saturday, February 21st, I am emceeing a Celebrating Our Soul Youth Summit in honor of Black History Month. The Celebrating Our Soul Youth Summit or the Celebrating Our Soul Conference happens at Unity Village every other year, and it's happening this year at Unity Village in August, where I'll be working with the youth. And so the Youth Summit is an opportunity for the youth to demonstrate what they've learned. Each one of them is assigned someone from Black history, and they're going to do a little presentation about what they've learned and the ways that this person impacts them or inspires them. And it's beautiful that it's a youth led, like having children during Black History Month take their time and their effort to put this summit together and to do this research about notable figures in Black history and participate in this fundraiser to help fund other kids getting to go to this conference, to be a part of this community. Me and the producer Clarissa were talking about the value of spiritual community, especially spiritual community where people are empowered to be who they are, that you get to have your own understanding of God. This New Thought conference is New Thought, like Unity and Centers for Spiritual Living and Universal Foundation for Better Living. Bunch of New Thought organizations coming together that we're not about who's right or who's wrong. It's this recognition of celebrating and honoring Black folks who have contributed to the history of New Thought that's coming up. So I just love that I get to be a part of it. I think Clarissa might have a link to register for that if any of y'all want to go to that Youth Summit coming up on February 21st. And shout out to Black History Month and Layla Edwards. Was it Layla Edwards?
Yep, Layla Edwards.
Layla Edwards
from Ohio.
I appreciate you catching me up on who needs to be noted for the Winter Olympics, because best believe I haven't paid attention to none of it. We see every time I'm coming in, this show's about pop culture, and I barely pay attention to pop culture these days. I just do what I do.
I'm yin to your yang. I bring.
Yes, I'm grateful for it.
But yeah, like I will say, like, so 2026 marks 100 years of Black history. It first started as Black History Week by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And it eventually went into becoming a month. Now, there's conspiracies where people think that just because it's the shortest month of the year that the government decided to make it. No, actually, Dr. Carter G. Woodson wanted to honor Frederick Douglass, whose birthday's in February. So that's why it started out as a week commemorating commemorating Black History Month at the week starting of Frederick Douglass's birthday. And if you don't know who Frederick Douglass is, your school did you disservice and you need to go brush up on a little bit of reading. But 2026 marks 100 years of Black History Month being celebrated. And I just want this to be a reminder that, just because something is different from yours doesn't mean that you don't need to learn a little bit more about it and stuff. With, for instance, with Bad Bunny's performance at the Super Bowl this past Sunday, there was a lot of people who said they didn't understand the language, and it brought, it had a lot of mixed reviews. Me personally, I loved it, even though I could not understand, some of the Spanish that was being said. I understood the vibes. I understood, the visuals, the unity when he brought out all of the Latin American flags. And then his message at the end, which, culminated everything, was that love trumps hate. And that's something that we need to, hold on to, not just during Black History Month, but throughout the whole entire year. Love trumps hate, and have a little bit more understanding and try to lean into things that are different from you and not being judging against it, because you didn't have to speak Spanish to understand the full message of what Bad Bunny was trying to convey with that performance, which is so beautiful. I've never seen an elaborate Super Bowl performance like that before. What did you think?
Well, first, I'm going to address that, but I want to comment on how you noted how Carter G. Woodson started Black History Week.
Dr. Carter G. Woodson.
Dr. Carter G. Woodson started Negro Week. Negro History Week is what it was called, literally 100 years ago this year. Dr. Carter G. Woodson wrote the book, The Miseducation of the Negro. That is one of the, it's only like, it's less than 100 pages. You talk about reading your history. That Frederick Douglass biography is 800 pages. Carter G. Woodson's Miseducation of the Negro is less than 100. It's like 90 some. It is free on Kindle because that book is quite old. And it's incredible how relevant it is that this book was written 100 years ago. And Dr. Woodson knew what he was talking about. And I think as the way that it relates to the Super Bowl, the kinds of things that Carter G. Woodson wrote about in the Miseducation of the Negro are being exemplified in today, in our experience today. The way that people responded to not knowing the language that Bad Bunny was speaking, as if everything needs to be catered to English speaking people, that English needs to be officially the language of the United States, regardless of the fact that it's something like 500 million people or something in North America speak Spanish fluently. So, it's like, okay, that's not your language, but this is one set out of the whole thing. You can't just enjoy the vibe for 10 minutes. That's too hard for you. And what sticks with me is the same people that were complaining that they didn't know what Bad Bunny were saying were the same people who said that they didn't know what Kendrick Lamar was saying, and that one was English. So I'm noting that it really doesn't matter the language that's being spoken, that there are people who feel really strongly about whether they can understand the words as if they're following closely to the words of what Kid Rock is saying, as he's hyping statutory rape, and don't have any problem being a good, wholesome person showing up for that, but speaking all of this negative things about somebody for having performed in their native language, in a language that is native to many people in this country. How Puerto Rico is officially like a part of the U.S. The fact that we are just denying the fact that Puerto Rico is a what's the official word?
It's a territory, United States territory.
Thank you very much. So it is a U.S. territory. So it isn't as if we need to pretend like this isn't somebody coming from a foreign country. This is an American territory representing their area, speaking in their native language, and people had a problem with it.
And I just want to note, because there was the conversation of people saying that because this is America, the performance should have been in English. America is the only country where one language is considered the dominant language, and most of the people do not speak multiple languages. Everywhere else in the world, even when you go to Europe, bilingual country or even more. There in other countries, it is normal for people to not only know their native language, but to also know the language of their neighboring countries, because they travel to those other countries, because they want to be immersed in the culture of those other countries. So rejecting something that is different from you does not make you a patriot. It actually makes you a very small-minded individual, and it limits your reach, for the trajectory of where you can go in life. The more that you know, the further that you can go. So don't limit yourself just because something is different and you don't understand. Take the time to, read, learn, divulge, and go down a rabbit hole to learn something that is different from you, because you never know, it may just open up different doors for you in your life.
I
But
mean, the miseducation of the American people is loud and clear. And in this moment, in 2026, our shared miseducation is quite clear. I've been reading this book. It's called Erased by Anna Anna Malika Tubbs, and it's about how patriarchy, how America itself was founded and formed on white supremacy and patriarchy. So while we're in this like really messy phase of the Epstein files out, everybody knowing everybody's dirty business, that we're in this place of really, we're in a moment of reckoning. I would say a phase of reckoning in this country's history. And I'm grateful to be alive for it. I'm grateful to witness it. And I'm grateful to stand where I stand. I'm grateful that I'm not supporting anybody who is engaged in and participating in human trafficking or child molestation. Like, you never gonna see me stand for somebody, rock for somebody, wave my flag for anybody with a history of molesting children. You're just not gonna catch me doing that. I could have compassion for them. I could have love for them. One of the things I was thinking about, like, is how beautiful would it be for us to see like an Oprah type interview with somebody of like, how did you feel when this information came out? When you saw this, when you had to be faced with what you did, how did that make you feel? Like, instead of shaming each other and pointing fingers at each other and criticizing one another, how beautiful would it be if we could have a really public conversation about the people who have engaged in these activities, the people we see in pictures of, that have documented evidence of? Can we sit them down and hear what was going on in their minds? Here, you just have a conversation about transparency so that we can participate in this season of moral reckoning that we are in together as a country. That's what I would like. If it was up to me, that's what I would do.
Well, with these last, I guess, 10 or so minutes that we have, gonna go through something that I wish that I didn't come across. But the more you know, I guess, is better. 71-year-old, I like the rainbow. 71-year-old Kiss Bassett and singer Gene Simmons is actually really mad about hip hop music being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He has some very choice words that he used. Let's get into it. He was on a podcast. It's called the I think the Legends and Leaders podcast, where he had a conversation about the how the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is now, and how rap artists and rap music is allowed to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he doesn't think that that should be so, because it is about rock and roll, not rap. And he doesn't see rap falling under the rock and roll category. And actually, his full quote, which actually gave me pause, I'm going to say, let me read it. The fact that Iron Maiden is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when they can sell out stadiums, and Grandmaster Flash is he went on to say that he doesn't get it, he doesn't understand it, because he doesn't come from the ghetto. And when I saw that part, I had to stop, because I'm like, okay, what do you mean you don't come from the ghetto? Like, what does that have to do with liking hip hop rap music? I'm not from the ghetto, didn't grow up in there or anything, but I have a love and a passion for rap and hip hop music. He says that he had a conversation with Ice Cube, and although he respects what artists like Ice Cube has done, he still does not believe that it deserves a spot in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And the same goes for opera music and symphony orchestras. So he actually doubled down on those comments and saying that he wasn't going to apologize, and said that the word ghetto actually derived from the Holocaust era, where Jewish families were forced into housing ghettos. And he said Black people took it and turned it into their own and made it a positive thing. And I'm like, wait a minute. Anytime you've heard the word ghetto, it's never been because of a positive connotation. And with the history of the word ghetto, yes, technically it did derive from Nazi Germany, where they put Jewish people in housing ghettos. But in America, the term was then taken and used as a negative connotation to basically mean Black people who are living in close quarters in what was it called? What is it called? What HUD had did?
Housing projects.
Housing projects. Yes, yes. and how housing projects even got a negative connotation because Black people were the main ones who were forced in housing projects because, surprise, surprise, there were housing codes and ordinances that prevented Black people from becoming homeowners. So instead of approving Black people for housing loans, they denied them and would force Black people to stay in housing projects. So I know that people his age, he's 71 years old, they're stuck in their ways. They're not going to change or anything. But rock and roll, first of all, is derived from blues music. The blues music is derived from who? Black people. Black people gave breath to blues. Black people gave breath to rock and roll. Black people gave breath to rock and hip hop. And so I don't understand where he's coming from, but to use the word ghetto to me, and then you're going to go back and try to frame it as, oh no, this was originally, a word for the Jews, but the way how you used it in your context was in a racist tone to me. And I need people like him to understand that. Actually, I don't even know what I want him to understand. I'm irritated by the small-mindedness and the what's the word that I'm looking for? Where you just, I don't know, help me out here.
Ignorant.
Yes, ignorance, and then just doubling down on it, not wanting to apologize and be like, of course I have no ill will or any type of thing. It was just doubling down on that. And I find that a lot of people who try to, actually, I'm not even going to go down there because then people are going to say I'm anti-Semitic, but I don't appreciate how he wanted to turn the word, instead of holding himself accountable, wanted to basically turn himself into a victim and be like, well, actually the term ghetto was from Nazi Germany, and it's not negative towards Black people, but you used it in a negative connotation towards Black people. And that's something that's usually done.
We could have easily called this episode The Miseducation of the American People, because that seems to be kind of where we're falling. And this book that I mentioned, Erased by Anna Malika Tubbs, really speaks to how the school system was designed in a way for Gene Simmons to believe what he believes, that the way that people are responding to current events we are products of our environment, essentially. And as we are experiencing this great moral reckoning, people like Gene Simmons are feeling empowered to say what they believe. Once upon a time, not that long ago, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Gene Simmons could have easily been canceled for saying something like this. And we have really evolved beyond cancel culture to a place of authenticity, where people are free to say what they want. No one's going to lose their job for saying something racist today. Actually, that's not true, because old girl from Real Housewives of New York got fired for saying something about Bad Bunny's performance. So yeah, it still happens, but she's not canceled. She just is fired. And that is what it is. Thank you, Clarissa, for putting that book up from Erased. It's a really fascinating book about our history, and I really like how there's no judgment involved. It isn't a criticism of all of us for being complicit, for not noticing that this system of patriarchy does not serve and support any of us in any way. Doesn't support the men either. That nobody wins from the system of patriarchy that we are participating in. But we have an opportunity to educate ourselves, as you have said, Miss B Lovely, to educate ourselves, to change our focus, to change our perspective, and walk through the world from a different place. And we'll see what happens. I know all I can do is what I can do. I can only take care of me. I can only make decisions about me. And I find that what brings me the most peace is to let them be them. Let you be you. Let Gene Simmons do what Gene Simmons. I was never paying money for a Kiss concert anyway. But now I'm really, really not checking for him. And I'm grateful people are showing themselves that there's no question over who you are, what you believe. Now I know you don't get to have any of my money. Like I get to put my money and invest my time, my energy, my resources, my life into people who support my values and align with my values. And I'm grateful that we are at least operating from a place of transparency, where people stand and what they believe. Let me know your values. I want to know that you rock with child predators and molesters. let me know that about you so that you don't have to get any of this money anymore.
I like that. Now, from telling people to do better, who are you going to be giving reference to this?
Giving reverence in honor of Black History Month and in honor of this event. Thank you for asking. As we kind of tight on time. I just went to, in preparation for the Youth Summit, we've been having these Youth Academy meetings where somebody from the community shows up and does a presentation. And at our first Youth Academy meeting, Queen Michelle Jordan, who sometimes lives in the Bay Area. I think she's I think she's in your hood, Be Lovely. I think she's in Maryland right now. She showed up and did this event called Music as Spiritual Practice. And she talked about the value of listening to of hearing ourselves sing in the ways that it supports our bodies and our nervous system. And some of you may have heard about this research about our vagus nerve, which is kind of where anxiety is stored, and healing our nervous system is about having this soothing experiences to our physical nervous system. And so humming is known scientifically. Humming, drumming, all of that is known as ways to heal your nervous system and regulate your body. And music is spiritual practice. I'm personally like a big fan of. I actually want to host an event for the public called Musical as Spiritual Practice virtually sometime. I'll let everybody know when we do that. But I just really want to shout out Queen Michelle Jordan for having donated her time to the kids, for having come up with this concept. She's an incredible performer. I love the impact that she makes on the community, which is why she showed up for these kids. So I just gotta shout her out.
Thank you. And thank her for her work. Was there anything from the making piece with your inner shit talker that you wanted to promote this week?
You know what? I feel like we only got a minute left in the show. So I feel like I'm feeling good to pray out. We could get into our inner shit talkers next week.
I like the way how you pray. You want to lead us in prayer?
All right. I appreciate the invitation. So I invite us to take a moment to let go of everything that came before this moment and bring our conscious attention and awareness to the gift of this present moment, to honor all parts of our bodies that are working perfectly, for being able to breathe, to move, to speak, to hear, to smell, whatever senses are working in our bodies right now. I just invite each one of us to take a moment to honor and celebrate the gift of our body. And I am grateful that we have brought our body to this experience, knowing and trusting that this What's Up and Why episode has been exactly what it's needed to be for each person. And I'm grateful for each person who's shown up, for who have shown their love, who have participated and are reading, doing their work to be somebody who is an educated American instead of a miseducated American. Grateful for who we are and the shift taking place in our country that is rippling across the world. And in gratitude, I invite us to close this prayer however you are most comfortable. I choose to close by saying, and so it is.
Amen. Remember to read your books, drink your water, wash your hands. Thank you for that amazing prayer. And thank you for joining us for another episode of What's Up and Why, bringing you the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time. I am Miss Be Lovely.
And I am Reverend Casey Taylor. Have the best week ever.
Happy Black History Month.